And we're back with DreamHack Open November. It's going to be the second game of the day of the groups of Group B, Stream B as well. I'm T-Time, joined by none other than Michael, Yumi, Cassidy. Michael, how are you doing? So far, we've had a bit of an easy one. Gambit, of course, taking away Lumina's life relatively quickly. This time over, we've got Nemiga versus KOVA.
Yeah, I think this will be a little bit more of an interesting one. I think coming into this, not many people have too much knowledge about KOVA coming up. I think they're a fairly unknown team in quantity, just because we get to see them in less of these sort of online cups and the sort. But I don't think Nemiga are at their strongest at the moment, so there's really some upset potential here.
Well, look, before we talk about upsets and which way either game can actually go, let's also give a quick shout out to a sponsors. And I'm going to be doing my sponsor voice for them. So that's why MSL went up a little bit. So thank you for bringing DreamHack Open November to us, courtesy of Intel, MSI, Corsair, Monster, and DTS. Michael, I'm very happy I got to do that. That's what the DreamHack Open is all about. Me doing silly things and then being reprimanded for it later on.
I feel like you started the voice really well, then you like really tapered off, like you didn't fully commit down to it. But,
yeah, because I was getting nervous, Michael. Don't do me like that. But listen, at the end of it all, we've also got ourselves some teams to talk about, so let's get down and dirty, shall we? Nemiga, of course, coming in with a couple of stand-ins, Speedek and Lollipop not really playing for the lineup, which is a little bit concerning for me. Those are, of course, two of the most standout players that you can possibly find, particularly Lollipop for me. He's amazing. He's really good. So, a little bit disappointed, but they are replaced by the very competent, capable hands of Forrester from Hard Legion, and of course Zorte from the team that used to be Ethereal, and should be interesting to see how they fare.
Yeah, I think the dismissal, or not dismissal, it comes down to Lollipop. I think he fractured his finger. I'm not quite sure what's happened to Speedak, where he's gone. Maybe he's just like, oh, you know, my boy, Lollipop, I'm just going to sit this one out too. Oh, I doubt that that's the case, you know? But at the very least, they've got another AWPer in Zorte. I haven't seen too much of him particularly, but I imagine just because coming in as a stand-in, you're just going to be kind of shown like, okay, we want you to get aggressive here, and I imagine he'll deliver in that regard. But I mean, even talking about the two teams, the fact that they have those stand-ins, I think if we just gone on with the normal rosters, Nemiga would be clear favorites. But now it adds a lot of uncertainty to this game.
Well, look, Michael, we've got to get into the game itself, so we're jumping right into the pistol round. And this is where we'll talk about the veto in a while as well. But in we go. KOVA and Nemiga facing off against each other. KOVA started off with a smoke, flash, and grenade. Of course, this is Vertigo, KOVA's very own map pick. And we're going to be seeing how exactly it materializes. Box has been tagged down, but before he goes down, he'll get a kill of his own. Biku, meanwhile, aggresses forward, hoping to catch someone off, but Jo's still relatively safe.
Oh, and they're collapsing on this B-bomb site, eventually taking down Twixie, so now a pathway opens up, and Joe, he just kept himself alive all the meanwhile while they wanted to get aggressive towards the B steps. Joe's being elusive, while all the meanwhile, Peku actually dueling towards the site, but they're planting towards A instead because they recognize where KOVA were positioned, and so this bomb can go down safely towards that A-bomb site. A 1-on-3 for Peku, he has a kit available. This will be a very difficult one for him to crack.
It'll be very difficult, especially with MDS on the sidelines. And let's talk a bit about the veto as well, Michael, because we didn't have time in the pre-show.
Sure.
We've got ourselves a Vertigo picked up by KOVA. And look, man, I have to go out and say this. I think this is not a pick that KOVA should have gone for. Their Vertigo is a map which I actually quite respect from them, even if their win rate doesn't reflect it. But they play Nuke. This is a team with two stand-ins against them. Just pick Nuke. They play Dust 2 really well, actually. It's their best map. Nemiga, Dust 2 is their worst map. You know, these are the two obvious picks to have gone for given the circumstances, and now you've gone for Vertigo, a map which is fuggy, which Nemiga played, at least 3 of their players did. The rest of them aren't too bad on it either. So, I have to say, I'm slightly disappointed with the direction they've chosen to take it here.
Yeah, I think even if you were looking at it from just like, oh yeah, maybe we take Vertigo, we concede Mirage, Overpass is a good Nemiga map as well, so letting that through instead of maybe a map you're more comfortable on in KOVA, I think I'm in agreement with you. I don't know really what the thought process was behind the vetoes for KOVA, but we'll see if it works out. Not winning the pistol, obviously not the best way to start things off, but these pistol rounds can always be extremely deadly. Lots of Deagles in hand for KOVA, and they're stacked towards the A site, and Nemiga, they're on the other side of it.
Zorto's waiting for the peak to come through. The CT still not really pulling the trigger, but instead it's Box to take down his teammate. MDS, though, happy to clean up the scraps left on the table. And they are quite tasty. That's a good thing about leftovers. They're just as good.
I mean, they're not always just as good. You know,
Well,
you make a couple compromises. You know, you sometimes lose a little moisture.
See, so Michael, you say that, but at the same time, you don't have the guilt of binge eating in front of other people, because leftovers, you're sneaking down to the fridge, you're opening the kitchen at midnight during a good casting session. Oh, look at that. What have I got left? Some garlic bread from yesterday, and I can have 12 pieces.
Well, I thought Pytola would have, you know, sprinkled some water onto his bread before putting it in the microwave or back in the oven, just to make sure that, you know, it had suitable moisture. But instead, he's saving his weapon over. He's not even indulging in those leftovers. Means he can't, of course, recover any of those rifles that were dropped by Nemiga, but there's no real trouble for them sweeping up the secondary round. Some decent damage to start, but given that that was a full investment round, hoping to take at least 1 or 2 more guns out of Nemiga's hands.
And look, KOVA, they've got some big skill in their individuals, but the problem is, I don't think I've ever seen them pop off on all of them together. And that is a real concern, because for me, Pytola is the main player to keep an eye out for. Uli's alright, generally he's the consistent one, but Spargo on the op can be very hit or miss, and that's what I want to see. I need to see Pytola, Uli, and Spargo all come up with some good support element as well on each side. Nemiga, so far, they've had an easier run of things, but let's not forget the T side is where we expect them to excel, perhaps slightly more. They do have those stand-ins, and switching over to CT will be incredibly difficult, but right now, they're just making short work of any round.
Yeah, no real problems in this one. They've already dealt with the player that had armor, so no big deal. Nemiga keeping everybody alive is always nice. If they can farm up some extra cash on Zorte, of course, that could go a long way. Of course, the AWPer for Nemiga. Not sure whether they're actually going to pick it up on the T side. This depends on how pressured they feel into doing that. Maybe they would just want to go with these faster plays, because the options can always open up in that regard. I think Spargo's an AWPing IGL, if I'm not mistaken, as well for KOVA, right? So should be interested to see how quickly he gets his hands on that.
Yeah, we'll have to wait to find out. But even so, Nemiga, they found themselves on 3. And now KOVA will have the money to be able to purchase up that AWP for Spargo as well. So I want to see how exactly he wants to use it. One criticism we had of Illumina when they went up against Gambit was that despite knowing that this is a team that theoretically should be better than them, they weren't really getting aggressive. They weren't really changing things up. I don't know if I'd say KOVA's worse than Nemiga with 2 stand-ins. I don't think I'd go that far. But firepower-wise, I think it's no questions asked about who is individually mechanically superior. As a team, I definitely rate KOVA higher. But I do need to see them use that for themselves.
And whether they believe that themselves as well is always the big question. Forrester getting Molotov'd out. KOVA, I like the fact that they're getting aggressive towards the B steps, a bit more of a forward face than some teams would risk. But look at how much control they're having to give up towards A as a result of that. Oh no, Box creeping up. Almost a sitter of a shot, but Twixie somehow able to come out on top of the duel. So what could have been an entry for Nemiga, instead KOVA have the advantage.
And that advantage is not looking to be lost anytime soon. KOVA is playing very defensively, not giving up any duels, not really taking them either. And as I say, that Twixie is changing my mind and his. Flashbang might be primed by his teammate, but he's definitely ready for a peek to come through. Very difficult angle to deal with where he stands, but the T's have not decided just quite yet. Twixie making some noise, reveals his position, and the terrorists are going to start moving in. That 40-second mark. Oh, so deadly. They're even concerned about a flank. Nemiga, they're second-guessing themselves so much over here. Molotov comes out. This is an execute being set up, but it's going to be so late. 30 seconds on the clock, and in they go.
Counter Molotov in. They're still deploying utility, and they still haven't made any real progress in getting into the site. Counter flash, Twixie through the smoke. It's good for Joe, and doubling up for the second. 3 kills so far for Twixie. They do finally get a handle on things. Forrester, though, 3 HP as he dials in the digits, and Zorte has to get himself a fair distance back. Fantastic shot on Spargo, equalizing the affair, and a flash primed and ready for the relocation of Forrester, but he gets caught. A 2-on-1 now. Zorte playing from the ramp, the stand-in for Nemiga, trying to see if he can can get it done in the clutch. And for now, KOVA don't seem to have clued into where he's positioned. Oh, head offered up. That is dangerous stuff. And they're waiting for the flank. The wrapping play from Piatola. And it's going to be enough to get themselves the round. Uli can get on the defuse. And KOVA, they'll take it back in the retake.
And that was such a dangerous play from KOVA coming out. The fact that Uli is willing to expose himself for a duck and weave over there is huge, because if he'd gone down, Piatola, it doesn't matter if he's able to wrap around completely from scaffolding and get the kill, there wouldn't have been enough time to actually play, which is Zorte makes it incredibly close. But at the end of it all, that's the kind of communication that's really only there if you are a team that is, generally speaking, used to playing with each other, has faith in each other. That's not going to be there the same way in a team with two stand-ins, more likely than not. But Nemiga still have a bye. We'll still be able to see them put some pressure onto KOVA's economy, which isn't entirely astute.
They're trying to apply some pressure early on to A ramp. See Nemiga lingering by the other side. Just how investigative do KOVA get? Criticized for lack of aggression at times, but sometimes over-aggression can always go the other way. Joe peering around the other side. Ooh, catching Yuli unsuspecting. And that's not the way you want to open up. Forster, the full spam as well through the wood. Both B-side players get shot through the flooring. And KOVA, they've lost control of this round, surely. Yeah, Zorte, another kill. Surely this should be your call to save.
Twix and Piku don't have a chance. Twix is still so far forward, though, that he can't really back off, and he calls Piku to his aid, but Piku himself has gone down. That's the problem with having a player position like this. Sure, you get up on top of that. I don't even know what you call it, the few floorboards on the side. Sure, you can get up on top of the floorboards, but once you're committed, if your teammates go down, you don't have an opportunity to save, and KOVA, they will die together, 4-1, and like I said, this is where their economy is being kicked while it's down. And Michael, I mean, a couple of days ago, they actually did play up against 9, the Turkish team, for the qualifiers of the DreamHack Masters winter that's coming up very soon. And they had this problem on Vertigo where their CT side was pretty much non-existent. They had a decent terrorist side. I think they went 9-6 or something on those lines. But after that, they only had 2 rounds on their CT side. And I'm really starting to get worried that maybe this might be a similar situation. But, of course, can't really count those chickens before they hatch or crack. We'll have to wait to see which of those will happen.
Yeah, I think the fortunate thing for Nemiga is that even if they are playing maybe a looser style with these stand-ins, they're getting some really good production out of players like Joe and MDS to start off this game. So, at the very least, able to leverage that individual skill in a way that we kind of expect Nemiga to come into this game with. But like you said, maybe that CT side is just maybe a problem area for KOVA. To see how much of that bears fruit. Spargo, of course, back on the AWP. And didn't actually get too much of a chance to find much action with that last in hand. Now back over towards the A site with it.
Uli, unfortunately, yet to frag as well. Ooh. Although he's very good damage. Very good damage. And the follow-up Molotov as well. This will be making things slightly more difficult for Nemiga. Now, the good thing is that these players don't die, and I'm not saying that because, oh, it's a 5v5. No. They still have their utility. And one thing that we have seen from Nemiga so far is they're heavily reliant on it. Sparko with the AWP zoned in, but zoned off as well. As he's forced backwards, Forrester gets a kill on Piatola on the B-bomb side, and although Piku trades Sorte, it's not enough. Jail as well moves in, tries to flick for the second, but can't quite place his crosshair at the right position, bringing it back to a 3v3. Nemiga, with a minute left on the clock, have still yet to decide where to go, but there's plenty of utility and firepower with it. MDS brings it back to a 3v2.
Yeah, they have the B-bomb side. That's the main concern here for KOVA, and Uli could be the difference maker. Ooh, great bit of movement down the ladder, the accelerated fall. He's not going to get the bomb, but this lurking pressure could be enough. But MDS, he gets the upper hand. Oh my
What
days.
a kill.
9 times out of 10,
crazy.
surely that's just not a kill for MDS, but he has started off this game with a stormer.
That was crazy. And MDS is a player who I highlighted to you before the game where we were talking about, hey, there's all these stand-ins. And MDS is the guy who comes up immediately after, you know, Speedback and Lollipop. Occasionally, he can have these great pop-off performances. Jo is actually very good on the CT side of maps where he wants to get aggressive, but this is scary stuff.
Yeah, I think before Lollipop, MDS was really the star of this team, but having to take a bit more of a backseat role. But I think you're absolutely right. Sort of filling that space very adequately now that they don't have to, or they're not as reliant on players like Lollipop. This is still a very expensive round, though, for Nemiga. Let's not beat around the bush in that regard. It's a closer round than maybe they felt it should have been. That could have been a 1-1 at that for KOVA. Such a ridiculous clear from MDS. I feel so bad for Uli as well, because he did the... I always feel bad for players that make the correct mechanical play, but maybe just don't get the same level of execution from it. Like, that fast descent from the ladder is actually something that players actually sort of underutilize. Look at Train as a main example.
No, absolutely. It's those little things that... And this is the one thing about Finnish teams in general that I really like, is that they'll very often have those little things added to their gameplay, but sometimes firepower is just lacking. And right now, that's sort of what it looks like. It looks like KOVA's making a lot of good plays, a lot of great communication, and a lot of good decisions, but not a lot of good shots. And that's what I'm talking about right there. Exactly what I'm talking about. Even when fully blind, Jo gets that one. Uli is taken down. Sure, he was blind as well, but even so. And now it's back to a 4 versus 4. Fortunately, KOVA were already on a bit of a diminished buy, so this does sort of favor them.
Quite a lot of damage done onto Forrester. So this is actually starting to shape up to be quite an interesting round here for KOVA. Softened up for these pistols, and Nemiga has slowed things down.
And I don't know about that, because slowing things down really permits these pistols to get in position and maybe try and get a flank off, get behind them and one somewhere or the other, get an off angle. Vertigo's so dangerous with any of those options. And that's what I'm talking about. Twixie in this position, nearly impossible to deal with unless you get a crazy shot like what MDS had. How are you ever going to clear this without being taken down initially to CZ? And now that's what they're wondering themselves as they do move forward. Oh, no!
Oh, no.
He didn't even have his gun out. Jo pulls out his gun mid-air and he still gets the kill.
The sadness of some of these rounds here for KOVA, getting so close, and it's still a feasible chance given that HP, but kills through smoke, through the wood as well. Pretty much everything that can go wrong has, and while Peku denies the plant, Zorte is there for the trade, a 7th for Nemiga. It's not the cleanest round in the world. KOVA have been always shown this little light at the end of the tunnel, only for them to run into a paper-thin gate.
Unfortunately, it's made of some pretty sturdy paper. It's like parchment.
Oh no, it's like adamantium.
Yeah.
It's just a really, really thin material.
That thin, yeah. Indeed, indeed. It's like obsidian in Minecraft. But now it's Forrester to find another kill. But what? Spargo and Twixie both finding one apiece, but Forrester still trading very handily. Piku cut off while he's rotating, not clearing his angles properly, and Jo takes advantage of that. Patience pays off, and that brings it back to a 2 versus 3, and Spargo, he no longer has that patience or the luxury of it.
The bomb only just now making its way over for Nemiga. They've been dropping that in some pretty central locations just to play out the mid-round. It has delayed these post plans. It does allow KOVA to get into position. Spargo trying to move forward, catching MDS as the bomb dropped right in front of the smoke. And as that clears, Spargo will have a great sightline.
Oh.
Another kill found. This is fantastic stuff from Spargo, but it's Jo now to try and pull this back in the clutch here for Nemiga, trying to make his way around the generator, and Spargo shuts him down. 4 kills for him to get KOVA a 2nd round.
And that's the man I was talking about. Spargo and Piatola are 2 of the most crucial players on this team if you want to beat out a series of players who have better individual firepower. Spargo on the off can be explosive, and the decision making that he has at that point when he figures out that they're coming over towards the B bomb site, he doesn't just stay on top of the connector and wait for the player to just swing out. No, he gets behind the generator where he knows there's a lot more place to re-peek from, where he knows that after he gets the initial kill, there's a lot more space for him to occupy, there's better flashes to throw, and it's easier for his teammate to support him in a double peek as well. All of those things make it 10 times better for him to go for that particular decision, and that's exactly what he does. Beautiful stuff on a micro level from Spargo.
Well, whether they'll get great production like from him in these following rounds, whether that's something he can maintain, or whether that's enough for the rest of KOVA to have these higher impact rounds, still remains to be seen. Nemiga have been in the driver's seat for a lot of it, but Spargo once again starting off the round well. An entry found on the AWP, while Zorte tries desperately to fire off his own shots. Not going to find any real production, so a man disadvantaged to start.
Piku, though, he's made it 2. And with that, Nemiga are going to have to clump up and clutter, a little bit more utility around if they can find it, actually. But, hold that thought, they're not searching for any of that at all. Jo coming in from the side. He could have a straight 1v1 duel. If he wins this one, it'll be huge. He peeks out, almost has it, but Uli comes out with an M4A1 of all guns, leaving Box and Zorte to try and fight back. Zorte on his signature AWP, but he's been forced off with a flashbang. Box, though, has gone in and knocked one out. Looking for more. It's still a 2v4. Difficult spot, but time is there. Box HP is not, and no longer will he be allowed to grace the earth. Taken down, taken out, and Zorte left to defend his life, and if not defend his life, at least go out with a bang. The more kills he can find, the more economic damage. Unfortunately, I have a feeling it might not be too many.
Oh. Why is he even challenging that? That does have a lot to be desired. I almost thought that saving the AWP probably had a bit more positives to it there for Nemiga, but a great setup there from KOVA. After they get those initial 2 frags, they actually just double to hold that short position. Had the AWP of Spargo rotated in to hold the ramp, and so if there was any pressure received from Spargo, they could swing simultaneously to help him, or they just simply shut out that short control. Some great communication there from KOVA. They even doubled up to make sure that the Molotov did nothing, and actually KOVA are finding these opening picks pretty consistently these past few rounds. Uli gets 1, but Box does respond. It's this B pressure that is mounting here for Nemiga. Do they actually commit off of it?
It doesn't look like they intend to, at least not without a pincer from mid. Nade goes out, it is important, but what's even more so is that there's still only 1 player on the A bomb side itself. They've started to rotate players over, cheat them to B, and, well, cheating is bad. At least that's what my middle school teacher told me. We'll have to wait to find out, though, as now Nemiga might be about to find Twixie right there. The one good thing is that Twixie has a Molotov, and that gives his teammates a lot more time to rotate over, and then they've got a nade and 2 Molotovs of their own, so retake utility is there. And it looks like that's a plan from KOVA as they make their way back. Piku also here on the bomb site, so the Molotov is going to be even more important. He's got a molly and a nade. Michael, this is going to be so hard to get the bomb block in, and as they try to fake out some utility, they will have another Molotov at their feet. The Finnish players cannot proceed forward. So much time. So much time.
Yeah, they're just trading utility. And now they're running out of smokes. Now the flashes come through. KOVA want to fight off of this, and Zorte is holding for that eventuality. A man advantage in the post plant here for Nemiga, but KOVA, they're all close by. The problem is they only have so little nades to try and make this work. Smoke, a couple flashes. Oh, the top of the head spotted out by Spargo, but he cannot hit the shot. They're trying to pressure to defuse. The idea that that's possible, Zorte getting another, and MDS finally shutting that down. Peku couldn't really see anything. That smoke blocked and obscured so much vision. While he gets one on the exit, that will be exactly that. The exit here for Peku, as instead, Nemiga take an 8th.
And that right there is one of the reasons why fewer teams are going for the full retake ace strategy compared to before, because the both plant situation actually worked pretty well for just waiting out utility as well. So you just get into those spots with your AWP with a little bit of utility as well. You need one Molotov towards the door, and then you can get the bomb plant in because of the nature of where that smoke goes out from the CTs. Anyhow, it's not that easy for the CT players to be able to contest your terrorist back line without being concerned that they're going to use the smoke to their own advantage. So KOVA, it's a fashion that really did actually pay a lot of dividends for them in the past a few months ago, but unfortunately right now it's very different as they face off against a Nemiga that's quite ready to take them up head on.
Yeah, absolutely. And now just pistols to try and get anything going. KOVA not going to get too much room. They do have a player still moved in towards short, so there's that threat from the back lines, but at the moment they are pushing forward into this A side, and KOVA haven't really succeeded in slowing them down. Piatola dropped. Uli does get one, but the rifle is too far away to recover. Won't be any real surprises going into follow-up rounds. Yeah, it's just Spargo left on a Deagle holding the flank. That was that backline threat. That was a big potential there for KOVA, but just not able to realize it. Nice and easy 9th round here for Nemiga. And this is where we start to pull up on that fact that you were talking about earlier, the fact that these KOVA CT sides have maybe been a bit of a weakness, especially on Vertigo. And maybe it does come down to that, the fact that the sort of retake style, even seen by teams that favor this map very heavily, you're talking about sort of endpoints and the alternate attacks sort of teams, they've not been succeeding as much on Vertigo of late either. And so maybe that stylistically is just something that had to change.
Yeah, the retakes generally work out a lot better if the terrorist side is forced to use more utility early on, which is why they were more effective in the past when T sides were so heavily reliant on using basically triple Molotovs to even get onto the side. But now, obviously, the meta changes, and so does Counter-Strike, and that's the beauty of it. And even a map like Vertigo can look beautiful. Uli, though, has found himself a quick kill early on, and MDS will follow as well, so at least there's an advantage, and Array will cope with it.
Yeah, last time they were in a 5 versus 3, they were able to close out rather handily. Spargo pushing that advantage even further. And while they've conceded a bit of mid control, the bomb is very separate from these Nemiga players. Looking to maybe just carve out a path, then consider the bomb plant box. Be taking the higher angle, would have caught Twixie off guard, but instead getting dropped to low HP, and Twixie finishes off the job. Now just Jo, he's been spotted out. These players are weakened here on KOVA, but not going to be enough. The Flames landing at his feet, being the one that finishes off the job. Goose cooked, but a 4th for KOVA and Nemiga. Their money has been a little bit sketchy, just given that they've won so many rounds. You thought they'd be in a healthier spot, but not exactly the easiest buy coming into this.
Michael, have you ever had Goose?
I think I've had it once, yeah.
Okay. You said Goose cooked. How was it?
I can't remember.
We'll talk about that in a minute.
Many moons ago.
I'm sure, but we'll talk about that in a minute because we've got 2 AK-47s from Nemiga's side. And as curious as we all are about Michael's Goose, we will inquire about it later on. Spargo lies in white and Jo lies in dirt. It tends to happen when you're shot in the head a few times over, and Spargo will at least add another daisy to be pushed up. Leaving 3 players on the terrorist side yet again. Nemiga, despite going for a bit of investment into this round, aren't really having it pay off at all.
Yeah, and there's a player advanced on the B side steps. KOVA have gone for the setup a couple of times. The smoke should indicate how close Piatola is. Whether Nemiga can actually do anything about it in an effective fashion, that is a whole other question, because lurking around the other side, should Piatola get swung, there is a secondary player to trade and help alleviate that pressure. Nemiga do still group towards B, though.
Piatola's waiting. This is a very strong angle. It's so difficult to clear this out when you've got Uli where he is. And as MDS goes forward, Piatola's got 1 and 2. Great frags. And this is incredibly important. All of these players individually are starting to step up just a little bit. And as you go into the T side, you know a lot of Nemiga's CT side is going to be based around duels. They've got 2 stand-ins there. A lot of it is going to be based around saying, okay, guys, we're going to sit down and hope that we shoot them before they shoot us. Sure, we'll throw some basic utility. We'll maybe nade out a couple of angles, this and that. Go with what you can off a read. But primarily, shoot to kill. And Spargo's done just that. Looks for more, but Piku steals and Spargo sticks around, and it may be too long. Box will finish him off, but Piku's still lying in wait. Piku to fall. Jo is scored. And back to a 2 versus 3. Forrester has an AK-47. Jo has a smoke and an AWP picked up. Forrester now searches around. Can he find a quick head to bring it back to a 2v2 while they still have time? No, he can't. 1 on 3 for Jo.
Certainly so doable. They must know that he has the AWP in hand as well. Of course, Spargo going down towards that A ramp earlier on. Understandable that this has made its way into Jo's possession. Bomb can get planted though. They're giving him the room to do it as they collect themselves for the 3-on-1. If he gets himself to the sandbags, this is actually a really dangerous position. Something that will be very hard for them to flush out, but they've separated. They have that backline offense as a possibility. Jo offered the first chance. There's an AK at his feet, but Uli just takes the duel outright. That will close out the half nicely for KOVA as they recover things on that CT side. It looks sketchy to start, but whether they can carry that momentum into the second half remains to be seen. Don't go anywhere.
And we're back with the DreamHack Open November. We've got ourselves an advantage for Nemiga, but a deceptive one, as momentum will swing the other way. KOVA 6, well, not really up, but they're down 6-9. Not too bad of a place to start themselves off with, and they're happy with that. Their T side is generally where their strengths lie, and my strengths lie with my co-caster. I'm Mamoon Tea Time Saber, and I'm definitely not Michael Yumi Gasly. That's my co-caster. Yumi, how you feeling? As Forrest is feeling worse.
Oh yeah. 3 in my name, 3 to HP for Forrester. Not exactly the smoothest transition, but Joe able to make things at least an advantage for Nemiga, but it's short-lived. A quick trade from KOVA, and they can threaten the backlines. Actually wrap towards this A site, and Nemiga have no way to stop it. These 3 B players, they were so concerned about protecting their own bomb site that they had no opportunity to rotate. So KOVA, a man up on this A site post plant, and Box already spotted on the flank.
Nemiga, they are in such a tough spot, and I would not be overly critical if they chose to save. If I'm not wrong, Forrester actually has full armor because he was only headshot. So technically, you can actually save quite a bit. Going for this is incredibly difficult, but it seems like they'll choose to do it anyhow. They have effectively 2 players and 1... Oh, what? Are they sticking it? Are they going for it? Oh! That was so close for a second right there. I thought maybe the KOVA thinks it's a fake, but at the very least, they do get some decent damage in at the end. It wouldn't have mattered too much, but it is what it is, and KOVA get themselves that first pistol round.
I don't know, saving out all that armor that KOVA could have. Instead, there's several players that go down with the bomb as well. I'd say that's a worthwhile effort.
Tagged?
Yeah, it might have been. Yeah, you're probably right. You're probably right.
Yeah, that's what I'm more confused about. But hey, anyhow. Because, I mean, even if you're not tagged, you get tagged regardless. You have
By
to
the bomb, yeah. Yeah. Vertigo is a fickle mistress.
Indeed. Like most of them. But, anyway.
Yeah, forced by Nemiga. So, the fact that that's such a close round, they threatened the fact that there was a ninja defuse, that could get into your head a little bit for KOVA. Even when the round looks so good to start, still very, very threatening. But they start off well, early finding a kill. MDS dropped early on, so they can start to move away. Not trying to do the fast full ladder thing, instead he takes a little bit of damage. Zorte does creep through middle. Although meanwhile the B-side's being pressured and Forrester gone.
Piatola now helping them move in, as Pico and Trixie will be the star entries, and the star entries will be shining incredibly bright as they come out the other side and say, okay guys, we're not dead, and we're fine with that. CT side probably better off to save, but I feel like I'll be seeing that a lot in Nemiga's game at this point. They're generally a very hyper-aggressive team, and when you throw 2 stand-ins in there as well, well, it's generally a recipe for spice, put it that way.
Mm-hmm. And especially because I think Forrester, with his constant B-site duels on the T side, he was winning them out quite a lot in the early stages of the game. It did start to shift slightly over to Piatola. We saw a crucial 1v1-1 when I think it was a 2 versus 3 that made it a 3-on-1. That just became an impossible situation for Nemiga. But those are those small fights that, if you're coming into this as a stand-in, especially when you start off so well, to then start to see that slip away from you form-wise, do you keep taking those fights? Do you play a more passive game? Almost feel like you have to go with the prior just to keep yourself in that same sort of head state. So as we move closer and closer to the actual gun rounds for Nemiga, how much of that's going to affect whether they continue this the sort of aggression and the tendencies for Nemiga, or change things up? Good tag from Box to start this round, though.
Very important because MDS is right next to him with the P250. This is going to be deadly potentially because of that one tag, but instead it's Spargo to find the first. Zorte will go down to the Mac 10, aka the Cha-Ching gun. I like the machine gun, but with the Cha-Ching instead. Spargo gets himself over. They do now. Even so. The one thing where I'd actually like to weigh in on what you were talking about regarding Forrester, which is that I feel like at the same time we also have to consider there's so much less pressure on you as a stand-in. You can sort of go for aim duels a lot more, and well, right now the aim duels that MDS is going for aren't really paying off. But at the end of it all, the important point is that they're going to be able to have a gun round in the next one.
Yeah, there's really no way that Box could surprise us here. It would have to be the sickest clip of the year, if that were to be the case. We've seen some very impressive scout performances as of late from more and more AWPers. Box not really in that same category, but he's still rattling off shots nonetheless. See,
I don't think
I'm always in
Fox
a
is an
weird
upper.
state when CTs come to trying to save a scout when you're going into your first gun round. Do you actually want that thing? If not, why don't you just take the fights? 'Cause otherwise, they're just going to throw on
Well,
the floor later on anyways.
I mean, uh, there is an argument to be made about Mac 10s, but yeah, I understand where you're coming from at the
Yeah.
very least. It's
Like, it seems like a
definitely
waste
dicey.
if you're not just gonna... If you're not gonna use it the next round, then just fight, die,
At the
try.
same time, well, you know, we'll talk about this in a while because it seems like action is on the menu and it is being served up early. At least that's what the waiter said, although it has paused up for a few seconds, a minute and a half still on the clock. And as the Molotov goes out deep to make sure that MDS can't support his own teammate, Forrester still taking a duel and won it. So, at that equalized situation, at least Forrester will not let them get the round advantage all too easily.
Oh, skin swapped over. I think Spargo was hoping to be delivered a Galil. Instead, Twixie lied to him. It's like, oh, it's just over here. Come and get it. And Forrester's now holding that angle, so if he swings out a little too far, could meet that same demise that Piatola had. Ooh, I think just being offered up a little bit of a shadow, just the small glimmer of a player being
It's so hard to
around that
tell,
corner.
though.
Yeah, KOVA's just setting up for a B-side execute, so Forrester's under the hostage.
Oh, perfect time, but he can't land the shot. Piku tagged down so heavily, but MDS will have to be the one to follow in and follow through. Molotov still spreading all the way, and there you go. Box is good for 2, but he's traded as well, and it's all down to Zorte, who's fighting through a smoke, but can't find anyone. Zorte still fighting, still pushing, still missing shots. And that is so many opportunities for Nemiga to win that one out. It is absurd. The amount of players who miss shots over there, my lord.
Oh my goodness, and the pure panic in MDS's eyes as the Molotov dealt more damage than I think he was even expecting. Maybe it spread a little bit, but he's trying to jump away and his teammate's right next to him. He's blocking his path. Get out of my way, son. Trying to stay alive over here. Double digits by KOVA. A really strong round considering the way it started out. Forrester winning that individual duel, but it will win it back after being that man down. And you can see that there are some protocols in place. They have like they have these nice nade sets that they can deploy towards this B site to get rid of some of these more troublesome angles. Which means that Nemiga can't ever really feel comfortable just taking up some of these more passive roles. Almost feels like they have to be a bit more aggressive.
Can't quite rack them right there, but now the question is, Nemiga with the very okay, that's very nice. But Nemiga with their very, very limited buy, they will be able to pick up an AK-47. Again, I'm going to be asking the same thing that I have so many times over, Michael. Do they say the AK at least, maybe?
Yeah, potentially the AK. I think even then there's the small argument you can make that you can kind of scramble it together a buy next round anyway, so giving this one a chance. It's always a possibility, but no. I think they realize that KOVA have actually saved a lot of their utility for the post plant, so the chances do go down pretty dramatically.
Indeed.
I'm liking that we're seeing some of these more, I think, well thought out sort of B-side protocols. It feels like B is always one of those places that when it comes to the default seems very underutilized by a lot of teams, but I mean, I'm liking what we're seeing thus far.
Well, I have to say that there are quite a few places where Nemiga is missing just a lot of shots. So there is that to help. But absolutely, I think KOVA, we pointed out earlier on as well that we expect their strength to be actually in the T side, unlike a lot of teams really who will excel on CT side instead. So we'll have to wait to find out what exactly they have in store for us and whether Nemiga can just do it. But with the double up coming out, at least it's something different that they are trying. Whether it works is going to be an entirely separate question because they've already lost one. Zord is being chased up as well. He didn't have the backup. Jo was very late to the sandbags, and because of that, he ends up losing what could have been a man advantage.
Well, now things get really awkward. A 3-on-3 with as much ground to cover as Vertigo offers does leave holes, and Yuli, you can already see, is exploring one of them. The potential to wrap the sites is becoming ever more apparent, still holding to see if Nemiga look for information. MDS does start to move on over with his AWP, has a player in at the sandbags, so doesn't have to worry about that A site. Forrester could be in for a world of hurt. MDS isn't holding deep enough that he can really support Forrester from getting sandwiched in here.
Forrester's positioning is, generally speaking, it's almost always exactly where you need him to be, but then he sometimes gets too aggressive, and that's exactly what's about to happen over here. But he's managed to pull it off regardless, finds himself one, fakes out the jump, but can't really get the second regardless. Piatola will finish him off, and with 28 seconds, there's plenty of time to try and go for a clutch, but it needs to get the 1v1 duel first. Actually goes for a plot in an unorthodox angle, and as nades and mollies come over his way, there's pushes in, gets himself the one, and now it's over to a one-on-one. Piatola waits for it, sees the player, 10 seconds now, has to go for the bomb plant. And there isn't a Molotov, there isn't a nade, there isn't anything for MDS to stop him with, and with the AWP only, this is such a difficult spot. Piatola just has to wait for the CT player to come his way, but MDS with a deagle headshots him right there. Woo! Alright, Nemiga.
I was getting a little bit nervous there for MDS. So many angles to hold on the AWP, so many options. Which side of the box does he jump up top? Those possibilities are always there if you're Piatola. But MDS is just like, nah, screw the AWP. I've got a deke in hand. And it comes in a clutch moment. That's definitely not the way I thought that one was going to play out.
Absolutely.
Ooh, Sorte through the top of the smoke as they attempt a bit of a faster play here from KOVA. Nice opener here for Nemiga.
Question is, do they maintain it? Piku's coming in from the side. They don't expect this position. And what an angle from the sandbag. Just uses the gap perfectly. Piku now, Troy's revealed his position, but he's still in a great spot for them to maybe just get a quick headshot. Peeks outward, sees the AWP. Nade will do some decent enough damage, actually. Zorda is able to back off before it can, and the nade goes awry slightly. Box has been forced to back off now as well, now that his teammate has been forced off the super box. But even so, KOVA in an excellent position, and Piku just keeps pressuring.
They've got Forcer in a pretty advanced position over towards B, so they can actually lean a little bit towards this A side if they were wanting to. No, they've actually still doubled up. They're still concerned about KOVA threatening to double back towards the B bomb site. Again, this does leave middle a little bit more exposed, and it leaves Zorte to the wolves. An execute is coming his way, and Box does get himself into position to reinforce, but he's so concerned about the flank.
Oh no. The CTs really need to make their way over because the terrorist side will be able to plant the bomb soon. Now, the one good thing is that there's a couple of nades, some aggressive Molotovs, but Spargo's found the kill. Zorte has gone down. Piatola's threatening the smoke, and as a Molotov is extinguished by it, he will be perfectly safe in this spot. There's no way for the CTs to actually scale onto the bomb side, and as they pick up the AWP, this has to be a safe call. Nemiga, like you mentioned earlier, they don't really know how to adjust to the fact that KOVA's default is so B-centric very often, even later on in a round, so they can't rotate back. And sure, Forrester is consoled by a quick kill at the end, but that's just stats.
Yeah, just so threatened by exactly that. The ability for KOVA to set up in these sort of later round executes over towards that B bomb site had them questioning. And so splitting your resources in that manner, especially when you're able to get a good bit of real estate in the B side stairs, it does show maybe a slight lack of confidence to make those more ambitious plays. I mean, even the teams that we sort of harp on as great Vertigo teams at the higher level, or even at comparable levels as this, it does still allow for a little bit of risk to be taken, and Nemiga don't seem to be playing that game.
Oh, Spargo, very important kill. And just to pick up on what you're talking about, you also have to wonder how much of that, as Zorte misses the crucial shot, how much of that is the fact that you don't have Lollipop, who's supposed to be your guy. You don't have Speedak, who's incredibly mobile, very, very dynamic as an AWP player. But now Forrester sees the legs, will connect, looks for more, can't find it.
Yeah, going 1-for-1, but MDS is here on the rotation. A Molotov deployed front sight, so they cannot cross. Vertigo actually going through the flames. It's enough for MDS to get taken down. Fully flashed up as well by support. And this B bomb site's been lost. Vox actually committing forward, but yeah, it has to be another call to save. Nemiga getting completely shut out of this round.
Now, Vox and Zorte. Well, they can just save. Michael, this is an absolute shutout. And like we were worried about continually, the CT side of this map can be incredibly difficult to play with stand-ins. You don't know where to get aggressive. You don't know how to get aggressive. You don't know what to do, when to rotate. And Nemiga really looks very much lost.
Yeah, and it's strange to not see sort of maybe more concerted fights towards middle. I know we've seen Forrester taking these sort of aggressive style peaks towards B, but even then he's playing semi-reserved in that regard, not sort of over-pushing when there's a lack of presence. Yeah, not really ever committing to those deeper flanks. And KOVA actually can play a slower game as a result of that, not having to worry so much.
When there's no one on your behind, then you don't really need to care as much about, oh no, what if they push into us in front of us? No, we'll just take that aim duel. You know, if we don't have to worry about a flank concept, we'll just take an aim duel. We're okay with that. We know these angles better than you do. That's kind of what's going on in KOVA's head. And look, KOVA, as much as we said that firepower-wise they look slightly deficit in that first half, this time over it's completely different. Now, question is, how does Nemiga adjust? Does Nemiga adjust at all? I'm sure positioning-wise, they've put a little bit more focus in towards the middle part of the map this time over. Zorte, good for one. And Jo as well, able to follow through with two of his own as he's pushed all the way through. And this is exactly what we needed to see. Jo now up is scoped in. He's not brought down, but it is going to be his chance to re-peek in and take away Twixie's life. 13-11. Nemiga, a very different showing and one that you love to see.
Yeah, that's exactly the sort of play that I think is more stylistic to Nemiga as well. Going for a deeper peak with Zorte, I think taking the generator peak through middle, and then Jo just pushing through towards A while that's happened. So as soon as his teammate gets a kill, that's where he starts to push a little further. And sure, that can work out against you, but when you're down, when KOVA seem to have these advantages in the late round, I mean, you're happy, or at least you're happier to take those risks.
The point, though, over here is this time much slower. And as the Molotov comes through, that's excellent timing. That'll be putting so much damage. KOVA are killing themselves, and Twixu has just gone in and fallen over. Uli, sure, the backlines can get one, but at the same time, now Nemiga, they've timed everything perfectly. They're working this like a fiddle. Spargo, though, he's still fighting back. He's still looking for duels, and he's got a few, but not enough. 12th round on the board for Nemiga, and KOVA's economy has been brought to the brink.
Yeah, it is run really thin now. Just so much utility damage in that round alone for Nemiga. The Molotov so well timed, and there was a nade that followed up after the fact as well that even slowed KOVA down even more. Oh, just pistols. MDS, shotgun off up close, has a player behind him in box, but oh, missing the follow-up shots. Oh dear, that's really awkward for Uli. He runs out of ammo. So MDS actually survives, but this B bomb site has been left exposed. The chances there to get the cash injection, Piatola eating a nade, but it won't deter the plant. Twixie, nice kill up close, recovers an AK, and oh, suddenly somewhat feasible, but tagged and slowed in the Molotov. It's not going to be enough. A 13th and equalizing round for Nemiga, but the plant, good for KOVA.
It's good for KOVA, but at the same time, you also have to consider so much of this game is all about the mental pressure. So much of this game is all about the momentum, Michael. And for me, if I'm a team with two stand-ins in it and we've just gotten ourselves back to 13-13, that's all the mental pressure going. There's already not too much of it. But now when we've got players who are succeeding with their aggression, players who are succeeding with their reads on utility, players who are succeeding somewhat in these anti-half buys. Yeah, that's a very different situation. Now, Forrester, once again, very aggressive very early on. And sure, we've criticized him for not going over the top, but yeah, let's not make any mistakes. He's been very hard to get past for KOVA as well, but that's a big one. Spargo, good for one. Zorde taken down, and that opens up that A bomb site unless he's traded away. CT Opper looking to peek in, but it's Piatola who's actually found a kill over towards the B bomb side in Forrester.
Well, how quickly the tables have turned.
The turns tied, indeed.
The turns have tabled. I've definitely used that as a meme phrase a little too much. It's actually made its way into my own vocabulary without me thinking about it. Either way, a 5-on-3 for KOVA. So they look to turn this situation around. Nemiga looking for those aggressive peaks, but KOVA coming out the better end of it. And Piatola taking a bit more of a forward face over in that B-side default as well. Maybe catching Forrester off guard. We didn't really get to see it from his perspective, but well, his perspective is now glued to one of his teammates. He sits on the sidelines. Nemiga still lacking information. They're actually moving to stack the B bomb site, and KOVA are rendezvousing over at A. This is going to be a quick call to save if, yeah, Nemiga aren't going to be in a position to really contest this box. He's trying desperately just to hold on to a glimmer of this A site. The Molotov could be enough. The nade to follow up on top. Oh, that is perfect. And now this suddenly becomes a lot more feasible. 15 seconds, this bomb's still not planted, and Nemiga can get in position.
There's another nade, another Molotov. They're going to be going for both of those. But the nade somehow doesn't do enough damage. The Molotov wasn't thrown in time. That could have been it. With the clock tick down as low as it is, but instead now it's going to be casualties galore, and they're all blue on the kill feed. Box alone picks up and up, trying to save it, and Nemiga, they will have a buy in the next round as long as this AWP is saved, but even so, Box will get a few kills on the fadeaway. There's not much money on the KOVA side to be able to actually hunt him with, and Box is getting aggressive to make sure he can punish if they are going for it. Box has got one more. Box looking for even more, and it looks like it'll be all she wrote for the CT economy. At this rate, they can't aggress forward. Good luck, Spargo. I know you're not going for that, and so does Box.
Okay. One-man army to keep that AWP in play. It'll make its way back into Zorte's hands. At least a little bit more to work around. They had some money reserved here for Nemiga, but that will make the blow a little bit less impactful. 14 for KOVA as they are on the cusp of potentially taking their map in the series. Box actually moving into where Forrester had been positioned previously to get aggressive towards the B steps, but they think better of it. They back themselves up.
That's actually a really cool way of him doing it as well, because they recognize that every single time KOVA's been throwing the exact same smoke towards that B bomb site, so instead they just molly it to interrupt it, so there's a gap. So KOVA has to be all the more careful positioning around it and trying to go for a double peek. So now things get a bit more dicey towards the B bomb side, and Spargo is instead aggressing in A. Zorte, however, this time over should be good for at least one. He's holding a close angle, and he will get the kill. Piku to fall. Jo, great spot to be at, because he's not going to be expected, but I've lied to your faces. Spargo will still get the kill, and he is feeling it like no one else.
Yeah, he has been hitting so many of those crucial flick shots. To get it back to an equal situation, KOVA still have some decisions to make, though. 40 seconds left. KOVA seems to be relatively unmoving. Nemiga, same story. Sitting in towards that A site, the nades will sail in, and that does indicate that Nemiga have made the right gamble. The smokes towards the front of the site. Box will deploy one of his own, and he's lining up a nade. He's prepared to try and cancel this plant, and if they go for it, it could be pretty devastating, but they've gone for an unorthodox plant spot. This should let them get into some safe post plants, but Nemiga, they're a lot healthier on this retake.
And Nemiga's got not as much utility, but they've got the kits this time over. The problem perpetually will be that double op setup that they are maintaining, though. And Nemiga, this is the round for them to make or break. If they lose this one, money's going to be very poor. And They need to go forward. Spargo's so aggressive, so confident. He's on top of the sandbags, and Spargo's finally taken down. Man advantage goes over to the CTs. Zort is moving in, trying to get the defuse out. He'll have time to do so as well. Piatola come from the side, and he can't get it. Nemiga up to 14. And this is as close as can be. Spargo is putting his team on his back right now, though, and I have to ask the question, what happens if he loses the duel?
I almost feel bad for laughing, but it's almost comical. The desperation to try and stop the defuse at the very end. KOVA just constantly peeking into the duels, not focusing on the person in front of them, just trying to focus on the objective. And their money's been reset down to pistols. Zorte opening it up with the AWP. And oh, the damage, the utility, the spam, it's all there for Nemiga. So things going in the green for them, and Forrester winning the duel towards the B steps as well. Only pushes the advantage further and further away. Nemiga looked to be guaranteed that 15th round, in which case we either get a 16-14 or we end up in overtime. And I don't know if KOVA are going to be able to recover from some of these closer rounds. Still somewhat feasible that they could get more damage accomplished in this one, though. And AK recovered for Twix. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, I don't think that feasibility is quite as high as we thought it was, but...
I thought Pika was being sneaky.
Yeah, it's true, but unfortunately sometimes there's a mousetrap, and you can't quite get the cheese. But Michael, I'm not gonna lie, this is something I like to see, where teams are being a bit more conservative with their economy, but at the same time, I'm not used to it, so it's kind of scary for me. So it feels like KOVA's giving away a chance at maybe getting to 15, and more often than not, you'll see teams buy up in these situations. But now CT economy, that's pretty much stable as can be. Nemiga are at the brink of coming through. This is the first time they've held an advantage since 9-9 in the second half. KOVA, the pressure's got to be unreal. And the question is, do they change something? Do they go for a different style? Do they try and potentially capitalize in a different manner? Or do they just allow themselves to go for the same old, same old? Seems like Uli is going to be given a chance. MDS taken down early on. That's one of the ops taken out of their hands.
Yeah, fantastic way to start. Nemiga try to get aggressive. Maybe overly so. We've seen Zorte go for that peak prior. This time MDS is the one that takes up the reins. Maybe less familiar with the angles they need to clear. Potentially the timings. Either way, Nemiga do lose that secondary AWP. Do actually lean towards that B bomb site. They do have fast rotations available though. KOVA are really just creeping their way out towards A, and Nemiga don't seem to have too much information to play off of. They've actually pushed through B, I think. No, yeah, they're stacking this A site. They have the flank as a potential.
This is going to be really, really big. Forrester, this time he's over on the A-bomb side. Molotov at the ready as well. He's just waiting for them. Well, he goes forward. He's trying to spam in through, make sure that Twixie can't move back, but the spam back from the terrorists will guarantee Twixie his life. Now, in the 5 versus 4, KOVA fighting for overtime, looking, searching for absolutely anything. But Jo coming in for the sidelines. He's waiting, flashbang, overhead, Forrester, fully blind, Forrester moving forward, in they go, Piatola, good for one, down to 3 on the CT side, Piatola, still alive, still hunting and searching, but it's Forrester from the side, and he's brought down. Zorte and Jo, they can fight all they want, but overtime is inevitable, and that'll be it. KOVA take themselves to 15, and we'll be back after a short break. Don't go anywhere.
adversity and bad situations meet us in the middle of the paths that we taking. But it's what you do after that makes men. Will you quit or will you stand up and face it? Tell me, do you have what it takes to swing back when this life asks for the fade? Can you tell me you'll adapt to the change when a punch lands and it puts you flat on your face? After you wake, will you stand up and say, get mad, hit back, lit match to the flames? Failure happens to us all, but it's how champions evolve. The only thing that matters from a loss is if you get back up when you fall. You gotta get up. Failure happens to us all, but this is how champions evolve. The only thing that matters from a loss is when you get back up when you fall. You better get up. You gotta get up. You gotta get up. I need you to get up. Get up.
It is the final countdown, and it is going to be overtime between KOVA and Nemiga. What a way to start things off over here as we head into it. No, sorry, actually, I thought it was a triple op. Never mind. Still, a double op, always pretty expensive, even so. But it's Trixie to move in, Zorda to take him down. Finally able to get 1 and 2 on that spot.
Okay, it's have they forgotten so quickly how these rounds have been playing out? Typically, they've been winning the duels towards the A ramp, but not when they've been moving past the smokes. They've been waiting. They do get a kill over towards the B side of the map, however, so it's not quite all hopes lost here for KOVA at the start of overtime. Zorda is tagged down as well, so he's not going to be the healthiest rotating player. The utility is good here from KOVA. They execute towards that B-side box in a very strong position, though, to try and stop them progressing. Still a minute left for KOVA, and some options are available, but expending all this utility, committing towards B makes the most sense.
MDS has revealed his position by firing up and not landing anything. Piatola has given enough space and even gets another. Box will go down, that's massive. And although Spargo will fall, Piatola's got plenty of options, and one of those is to die to a nade. Utility is what saves Nemiga at the end of it all, and who cares about bomb plants? It's 16k.
Great fight for ramp control there from Nemiga. Some good utility as well for the retake, as they found the picks at A, so they have utility to spare for the post plant. KOVA really approaching that A ramp default in a different way, trying to catch them out maybe by progressing past those smokes, but that actually almost plays into Nemiga's favor. Actually taking some lower ground peaks. Oh my god, what is this from MDS? He just jumped all the way down towards the P steps, is given an opportunity, but the smoke will actually allow him the potential to escape. Does he continue to just perform madness? He's lingering around the other side of this.
We'll have to wait to see MDS's position. It's really important, but how does he miss that? How does he miss that shot? That's so crucial. Jo, in the meanwhile, does get one sure. So, to use your words from the previous round, all hope is not lost for them yet, but it's getting closer and closer, and so is Jo. He's been mollied off on the flank. He's been forced back towards T-spawn instead, and the terrorists there proceeding to move in towards that B bomb site. Twixie needs to be contested, but Forrester is good for one. Box adds another, and now the flank is going to be everything. Jo takes down Uli. Twixie alone versus 3. Does have the bomb, sure. Does have time, sure. But HP, teammates, utility, all of these things not quite in his court. 40 seconds. And now is closed in from each side. There's nowhere to go, nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. And the bomb's been planted, at least. But Box peeks out and will take his life with a quick bullet.
Okay, Jo has come to play. Again, it's this aggression towards a ramp that has so much success. We saw him push through that once before, now he pulls it out in the OT as well. And KOVA still sort of get caught off guard. The one kill that he finds is enough for him to threaten the backstab perpetually as they make progress towards B. Such a high impact set of plays from Jo to really take some ownership in these rounds. And I think Nemiga now have this kind of new stride to their step coming into the OT. It's very strange to sort of place, but KOVA seem to be getting pushed further and further back. And look at the utility. Piatola dropped down to 19 HP to start off this round.
And I love to see that because KOVA have continually been trying to get a player across towards that corner for forever. It seems like every time they're defaulting B, they always need a player in that corner and the other corner so they can have a double P coming in for the stairs angle. Instead of contesting them like they have done so many times over, Nemiga's B-side player, Forrester and Box, decide, you know what, let's just nade them out. That tends to work as well. So, with Piatola tagged up very heavily, Zorte's positioning is also incredibly important. This time he's actually fairly aggressive inside mid. Uli is waiting for him to actually push through. Zorte, question is, does he actually indulge Uli? He's already lost his life once before to the man. And now KOVA, the A execute is in business, but are they going to have any sales? Jo looking to peek up in towards them. The smoke will give them some cover, but not for long. Jo drops down through the smoke, gets damage. Nade as well to follow. Will not take anyone's life, but he's still so deadly. Keeps it going, carrying them across. Jo is doing it all on his own. Uli left in a 1 versus 4, and I don't think he's got it in him.
Yeah, the AWP of Zorte closes out the round. What a half from Nemiga. A lot of it spurred on by the individual capacity from Jo. Just another place in which he just gets aggressive, where it feels as though the rest of Nemiga are taking more of a step back, playing reactively. He takes matters into his own hands. And now KOVA back onto that CT side that struggled in regulation to get its feet. We saw them revitalize themselves towards the end of that half, but are they going to remember what it was to succeed in that way?
That is a huge question because, like I said, towards the end of the first half, a lot of questions will come around. Okay, how confident is KOVA feeling in taking these duels? Because individually, aim-wise, everyone on Nemiga can match up with everyone on KOVA, and vice versa. I'd like to believe after what we saw in that second half, but momentum is so important. KOVA, do they have what it takes to go against the tide? Uli is getting aggressive inside mid. He's done so before from the terrorist side. Let's see how he fares from here. Box, though, he's in quick, and Spargo's missed his shot, but he's got a P250 to follow up and finish off. No, that wasn't Spargo. That was Piku.
Oh.
It wasn't Spargo. We thought that for a second. Don't worry, Michael.
So close.
Don't worry. Still, Zorda's fighting in. He misses the shot. Zorda's taken down. Piku and Twixie have done it all. Forrester in a 1v5. I don't think you've got this in you, Forrester. I really do believe in you, Forrester, but this might be a bit much.
Yeah, a difficult position. Okay, he's just going to get run down by Yun from behind. Of course, that player in position over towards middle eventually descends the ladder and just pulls the trigger. Why not? Runs him down. A flawless round at that for KOVA. Just all that fast-paced aggression from Nemiga, just getting shut down so quickly.
Yeah. Even though, well, I mean, we know we say it's flawless, but it's only flawless numerically. There's a lot of missed shots from either side, and it could have gone the other way, but obviously, at the end of it all, KOVA's hitting shots. Twixie takes one. Piku backing his retreat up. And with a nade as well to follow through, KOVA. Seems like I've been asking the wrong questions. It's not about whether or not they have the momentum on this AT side. It's about whether or not Nemiga can stumble over the finish line.
The utility's been doing a lot of damage in these rounds here for Nemiga. The Molotov was what weakened up Twixie, now Piatola as well weakened up Jo though. A kill over towards the A side of things. Now the options do begin to open up. Now cutting sound. Moving over towards this B site. Do KOVA have the read? Because for now it is only Piatola. He does have a player close enough to make a sharp rotation. That is Peku. Just going to be lacking that information. Again, Piatola feeling like he might have to move a little bit closer to investigate. That smoke sails a little deeper than maybe he anticipated.
Piatola is right. Now Piatola needs to land the shots. Piatola has Peku at least to back him up. So, back to a 2v3. This isn't over yet, Nemiga. They want to fight this out, but with the clock ticking away and the smoke in their way, this path is not one that is easy to tread. They'll have to carve their way out of a jungle. They'll have to carve their way out and see whether they can survive past that finish line as they move forward, inching closer. Piatola, he's not expected. They're not going to be thinking about this at all. Piatola peeks in from behind and he's taken down by Jo, who's making it possible, but with the Molotov spreading over, he's got to get the kills. Are they going to be revealing him? So, oh dear. For a second I thought he got that, but not quite. Not quite. Ooh.
This is becoming a very, very close overtime. Some great individual plays, even just the fact that Piatola stays alive and repositions in that manner is round winning for KOVA. So some great individual performance stepping up in crucial moments. Now the question is, do we go again? Do we run it back? Or does Nemiga somehow overturn them in this last round of the first overtime? Nemiga once again faster footed towards this A site. Box up close and personal. The nade over towards short. Box still not over pushing his bounce though. Spargo was active here in previous rounds and still so concerned that he could be holding a deeper angle. Twixie is still tempting fate though. If Box only knew how much space was given up. Never mind, Zorte gets the kill anyway, so that A site does have a little bit of a vulnerability, and this timing from Box could be everything.
Piatola's been tagged in right. You said Box is moving in. Box has got the kill, and now rotations will have to be forced back. Nemiga, the world is their oyster, but this is one that's ready to bite back. Spargo coming in from behind. He's been a hero before, but has Nemiga found his kryptonite? Spargo's waiting for them. He's got the fast. That's beautiful. Jo thought he could move past into alley, unnoticed, unseen, and unheard, but now it's all about Uli. The terrorists need to move in, plant the bomb in. Spargo is the only player with the Molotov, and he's not in position to be able to try and block the plant at default. 30 seconds. MDS is so scared of the back lines, and they're moving in. Back towards B, they go. Zorte, though, once he's taken away Spargo, they decide against it. Now it's time to start leading in once again. Uli and Piatola. Piatola needs to rotate back very soon, but he's so scared. He can't make the gamble. He can't make the gamble. Uli, he needs to fight it all on his lonesome. And he's not swinging out. He's not peeking wide. Hope is diminishing. Chances are decreasing. Nemiga is coming, but Uli's still that last barrier that remains between them and the finish line. Uli waiting for a peek. Uli waiting for a chance. Uli looking to peek out wide. Gets himself another one. This is possible, but possibilities are declining. Piatola alone versus the world. It is cruel and it is difficult, but he's got a kill. The molly's good, and he's now waiting for the P. Piatola's done it! Takes it away, but does he have time? Yes, he does. The 2v4 makes it work, and what a way to do it.
Oh my days. Recovered a Molotov off the body of his teammate in the site, and it was enough. He gets the kill he needs to, and he flushes him out into the open in the nick of time. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. That was a round that Nemiga, by all intents and purposes, should have won, but it comes down to the clutch. And that's where KOVA seemed to thrive. We run it back. We go again. KOVA starting on the CT side this time. The run boost. Oh, that is fantastic from Spargo.
You guys can't see it, but Michael looks like a child who's seen candy for the first time in his life. He looks very happy.
Holy... nah. That's
insane.
One of the most unreal peaks I've seen on the AWP, especially on this map. That's so well coordinated from KOVA, and they start off with a 2-man advantage. I love it. Movement, nice picks, AWPs. It hits all the right spots for me. KOVA taking a lot of right boxes to spam as well in this round. Things cannot be going better.
Well, you're absolutely right about that one, because it might just be a clean sweep right here. Zorte alone and dead. Spargo, man, what a round from him. Like you said, that completely changes everything. The fact that they're able to come through, get that early 2K, completely different ballgame from that point onwards. And now 1918, KOVA, they found themselves the advantage that they so heavily needed. So far, we have not had a single terrorist side round victory. Not one across this entire overtime. Question is that going to change? Oh, they do indeed. They do indeed.
I love it.
This is very much overtime strats coming through, and you want to see that, but Jo, he's interrupted them right there. Uli's fallen, Twixie relegated to taking care and control of mid before going back to B. And the question is, can Jo find more?
Oh, it's Spargo to answer back on his own AWP, so not an advantage that's held for very long here for Nemiga. Nothing that can be realized into the late round. Nemiga throwing a bit more presence over towards that A side. Spargo forced back. He's on 31 kills. He's been such an influential figure on this KOVA side, and once again he'll take up his mantle towards short. He was a bit of a problem in this area. It was a constant threat to the Nemiga push, but Box finding an entry, and Spargo, he's been lost. It's actually Twixie that comes in on the rotation and holds him at bay, but it's only momentarily. Piatola, once again, called through into the clutch. The bomb dropped and exposed on the site. But how does he reposition? How does he circumnavigate this? It's through towards short, and they may not suspect it.
And Piatola's creeping in. He's zoned in. He's inside the matrix, and he's found the kill. MDS will fall, and the architect says that Piatola will be given another chance. But Nemiga, what are they doing? Jo, what are you doing? Jo! He's off. He's gone. He's taking the train. And guess where it's taking him? Choo-choo! B-side. Here we go. Jo has turned the tables. And where is he off to? Piatola in the 1v1, found so much success in the clutches before, but Jo, he's not looking to stop at any moment at this point. Piatola will have to peek into him. Jo waits. He knows the CTs are creeping. He knows it. He knows the defuse will have to come through inevitably, but Piatola around the corner. Piatola's been seeing Jo's playing this perfectly, but Piatola from the side makes it work.
No, I don't think he has it. It's just a
He's got it. He's got it. He's got it.
God, no.
Oh.
Oh, it's so close.
Oh my God. The train doesn't stop, Michael. The train doesn't stop for anyone.
I couldn't help but not just like, I had to sort of like reduce my volume just to laugh a little bit. That was just so ridiculous.
I lost my voice in there.
Jo was running for it, and he sure he doesn't get the kill, but it's still another round won by Nemiga, having to overcome both Spargo and Piatola in these more pivotal positions has been a bit of a troublesome one at that. We actually saw Twixie with a really high impact frag as well to slow Nemiga down. We're getting all these different pieces activating from both sides now. And oh, 1-for-1 exchange. Forster actually got a sharp entry, but it was quickly traded.
That's so important as well. You can't let Forrester get an entry and back off. That is mistake number one. But the question is, Nemiga, they found themselves that 1T round. Is that all that's needed to swing the tides off overtime? They're hoping to make it 2. Twixie. Utility is low and he doesn't want to use that Molotov. We've seen how important that one Molotov can be so often. Jo comes in from the side. Jo's so good. Jo's so great. He's got himself 2. This man has been on a heater all game long. He's stepping up for the lack of his teammates, and now MDS has got another Uli. Has a mountain on his shoulders, but he is chipping away at it. He's got his pickaxe ready, comes in from the side, waits for the bomb plant, sees one more. Uli's got the kill, and a chance for more. Can't quite connect, but it's Zorte to take it at 20. Nemiga almost letting it slip away, but not quite yet. Not quite yet.
Oh, it just doesn't stop. These awkward situations, almost getting into these clutch moments. I thought they knew for sure where Yuli was in that 1-on-4, but it just seemed to run away from them. They weren't expecting him to be up so close. And once again, Nemiga have an advantage. The chance to take it over the line. KOVA have stepped up in moments to keep themselves in it. But how long can that last? Especially because we're going far more experience. We lean in that direction for the Nemiga camp. KOVA, certainly a lot more to prove. But they've come in with some structure. They're getting some of these star performances, these great clutch moments. They're even pulling out some of these neat, fancy tricks. It almost feels like we're sort of tuning into somebody that's been practicing something with their childhood friend for years. And then they reunite 10 years later. And it's like, we're doing the signature move. Those are the types of things that we're seeing from some of these KOVA players, yet still they find themselves on the back foot.
This is like every bad dance movie ever where you just look to your partner and say, you want to do the move? And you say, yeah, let's do the move. And it works! It's a step-up remake that no one thought we needed, but it turns out we do. Nemiga, though, in on here, a dance. They're here to party. They're here to rock. And that's what they've been doing on the other side. Jo's just been ridiculously good. He's just been stunning. And now the question is, can he do so on the CT side? We saw him pull it out in overtime, and Spargo's very much aware of it. But now CTs have 3 players more concentrated towards the western side of the map. But as Spargo and Pico creep forward in towards that bomb site, they are making their presence known. But alley control is still contested, and that is contested by Box, who's been very hard to get off the angle before. Not MDS this time over on the secondary op, it's Box wielding it instead. So keep an eye out on that, but Piatola, keep an eye on him. Pico's got 1, but Piatola's down. Twixie good for trading. And Zorte, well, he gets a flick that he needed. Unfortunately, he's also got a man behind him. Ulbi, eternally in the back, comes through and pincers. Now, in the 2v3, all of this will come down to whether MDS can get a quick kill after the bomb's been planted. But with the smoke going down, their entry point in towards this side is practically non-existent, especially with that Molotov Sparkle, though, as he realized that there's a player who tried to move past. Instead, CTs force themselves back, and MDS gets a beautiful kill. Remove Sparko from the equation, but KOVA's post-plant is still so good. MDS needs to get aggressive, needs to find information, needs to peek into them, but that's just not happening. Flashbang goes in, MDS gets the headshot, but not the kill. Box is trying to defuse, Box is trying to stick it, Box has got the defuse! No, he doesn't, it's barely there. No, oh, sorry, he does, sorry. My bad, for a second there. Ooh, audio issues. Oh no.
Did the flash get the back pillar player? It must have.
I think so.
Because I don't think they realized he was on the bomb.
I think Flash probably got both of them, to be honest. Oh, no.
That is so devastating. KOVA just didn't peek into it. They didn't know that he was sticking the bomb, and it's stolen right from under their nose. Nemiga had no right in winning that round. They had great post plants. They were in great positions. They hit the shot they need to. But just lacking that audio information. I think it was the flashbang. That's what we have to attribute it to.
Forrest is waiting. Forrest is waiting for that peak, but now he's backed off. Doesn't want to take that duel. And I don't blame him. Not at all. Pitola. The man who you can never count out of a round. He is hoping to find a quick kill. And as much as we praise their B-side defaults, KOVA, if I lived with them now, they might die with them. Nemiga waiting, but Piku's not waiting at all. Piku's moving in. Piku, though, overrun by Jayo, who is now the wielder of that secondary AWP. Forrest moves forward. There's flashback, but he's turned the wrong way. And Zorte, sure, will get the Molotov kill, but he needs one with the AWP as well. He's so scared of a flank coming in from Uli. Now sees the player as a smoke was missed, and they've got to use another one. Uli left alone. 1 versus 4. It's finally time in Nemiga. Double overtime. And they still take it away. What a game from both these teams, honestly.
Yeah, we saw some great stuff individually, saw some great collaborative plays. I mean, I still am really a huge fan of that KOVA default throughout. They were working the map so well, putting the Nemiga in some really tough positions. But you get to see some of these sort of overclass performance. Jayo coming in so clutch for the side time and time again. And you had the same thing from Piatola, Spargo as well, having these really high impact moments. It was a crazy back and forth, and it came down to almost who could clutch better for either side. It did feel like that at times.
And that's the perfect story of double overtime. And with that story, we're going to leave you for a few minutes. We've got to go to a quick break. But we'll be back with map number 2 very soon. Don't go anywhere, because what a game that was. And I can promise the second one will not disappoint.